for those of you, I know quite a few of you already know what SEO is, but I'm just going to go through the basics for anyone which doesn't know what SEO is and they get to the end and think, I've still got no idea. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's the process of getting traffic from free, organic, natural search results. So I'll tell you the different types of things that you might see on Google as I go through the presentation. It's really, really important to note that SEO isn't a magic wand by any means. You can't just do it and then don't touch it for months on end. You need to work it into your schedule somehow. It might be boring. It might be like accounts to some people. Think, oh my God, I can't do that. But think of it as you want your ideal summer body. It's not going to happen. You're going to go to bed one night, wake up the next morning, and there we go. Lovely picture in the mirror. You look exactly how you want to look. You've got to attend the classes. You've got to walk. You've got to run. You've got to eat more healthy. So it's all these little things which you can actually do, but it does take time. So don't think, right, I've whizzed through something. I've done some SEO. I've done SEO this week. I'll just not touch it for 6 months or whatever, because that's not what Google wants to see. So paid ads versus SEO. So as you know, when you search on anything for whatever you're looking for on Google, you've got paid ads at the top. You can see them because they've got a little, I think it's a green button now, underneath the name of the business, which says ad. So these can put you at the top of page 1, but you have to pay a significant price to get there. As soon as you stop paying for ads, you'll instantly drop off. So it is literally, well, not throwing your money away if you want to keep paying for it, but once you do stop paying, your listing will just disappear and it won't be there anymore. It is a lot more expensive than organic SEO, and organic SEO is everything underneath those ads. It's easy to set up, but it actually requires time and money to optimize for the right keywords. So as I will go through a bit later on, keywords are really, really important, and you need to make sure that you put a lot of keywords into any content that you create, because it's those keywords which Google will be searching for. So organic SEO does take longer to reach page 1 than paid ads. There's lots of competition out there. It's again about those keywords. But once you've established your organic SEO presence, you'll remain there for a long time. But regular maintenance is required. So don't think, right, I've got to page 1 now. That's great. Tick the box and move away. You've got to keep at it. And you can learn SEO one step at a time as you go along. So it's not something that you've got to be a master of instantly. It's taken me nearly 20 years to get to where I am now, and I'm still not a master of SEO. I'm still learning. Things are constantly changing, and I will also tell you later on about changes which Google are putting into effect with their algorithm change, which they've decided to do this year around May time. So just to recap, here's the ads at the top. So you'll see I've put in Essex gardeners. Gardeners are at the top. The ads are all the top 3, which got the little ads button next to the URL, and everything under that are all the organic results. So there's different things that make up the search results as well. You'll see sometimes when you search for something that you will get a map with listings underneath. So these are the Google map results. You'll also get, if you type in a business name, for example, I've got mine up there, you'll get a little panel along the side, on the right hand side, which will say more about the business which you're looking at. And that's also referred to as a knowledge panel. And that is your Google My Business listing. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on that much today. Another thing is featured snippets. So if you don't know what a snippet is, it's basically content that Google prioritizes and gives searchers an answer on the results page. So they don't actually have to then navigate away to find the answers to what they're looking for. So lots of how do I change a tap washer or something like that. that might potentially come up as a featured snippet without them actually moving away, but it will still obviously list your website on there. So it's really, really good to look at different things that people are asking for on Google and try and answer those questions, try and feature yourself as a snippet. So why is SEO important? Well, it's your 24/7, 365-day employee. It's there working for you all the time. People can look at it morning, noon and night, and it is generating views for you. Obviously, hopefully sales as well if you're selling on your website, or it's just making that link and connection with people about your brand that it exists. SEO optimizes your website content and pushes it up the result, and it is an investment in your business and a powerful tool in your marketing plan. It's no good having a really, really good looking website, because I know lots of people spend thousands of pounds on websites with companies that haven't got any SEO, and they come either to me or to some colleagues that I know in the industry and say, well, I've got this really good website, I've spent thousands of pounds on it, but I can't actually find myself on Google. So, like I said, there's no point having a really good website if no one can find you. So SEO is really, really important, that you don't just get a website and think, right, that's it, I'm online now, because that's not how it works. SEO is an ongoing tool that you need to hook up with your website and keep going and improving everything that you're offering to your customer and increasing your visibility. So some stats, organic search, which is all those bits which I'm actually talking about today. There's actually been over 70,000 search inquiries every second on average. And interesting to know that when I did this presentation a couple of years ago, in 2019, there was only 63,000 search inquiries every second. So you can see since lockdown, and obviously as time progresses anyway, the amount of search queries going on every second is increasing quite a bit now. More and more people are having to go online. More and more people have had more time to look at things online. So search queries have gone up. So that's 5.8 billion searches per day and 2 trillion searches per year worldwide. So, and one of them, they could be looking for you. So if you're not in it, you're not going to win it. Organic search is a huge part of most business websites' performance, and Google owns the majority of the search market over competitors like Yahoo and Bing, which are again two other search engines which you might feature on, but Google is obviously one of the most important ones. Being highly visible as a trusted resource by Google and other search engines is always going to work in a brand's favour. So if you're doing quality SEO on your website, and you have a high quality website, it really makes sure your brand is visible and seen. So there's different elements of SEO. You've got the on-page and technical stuff. So that's all the content, the words, the pictures, the meta tag, and other elements that are actually on your website. And then you've got the off-page stuff as well, which are any activities that you do away from your website, but you get traffic back to your website. So in case there's anyone here which has got a franchise website which is built for them by the company, or network marketing companies as well, SEO is for you as well, because you can do all the off-page stuff which doesn't actually touch your website, but you can still do things to drive traffic to your page. So looking at on-page stuff, you have a few things. You've got structure, content, and page speed. In terms of structure, you need to make sure obviously it's mobile friendly. Lots more people are going and searching on tablets or mobiles, so you need to make sure that that's all working for them properly, as well as obviously looking on a desktop or Mac. And I will give you a link later on, and I'll put them in the comments afterwards, about how to just double check your website is mobile friendly. It's worth, when you do any updates on your website as well, to run the test. It's completely free to do, so why not? If you're going to add some new content to your website every 3 months, 6 months, or if you're doing a big update, just go back on there, just double check your website is mobile friendly again, because obviously if it isn't, that does have a knock-on effect to your ranking. Make sure your website is submitted to Google. If it's not submitted to Google, then you need to do that. And again, I will post some more information on that in the comments on how you can do that if anyone thinks, oh my God, I've got a website, but I haven't submitted it to Google. Also make sure it has a sitemap as well. In terms of content, this all relates back really to making sure whatever you're putting down as content, as wording on your website is relevant. It's always important to maybe have a landing page for each keyword and only concentrate on that one keyword per page. So I know Mel, hopefully, is still listening. You may do one page on maternity photography, or you might do one on newborn photography. So each page will actually concentrate on one particular area rather than going and mentioning all different things on one page. So making sure all your images have alt tags filled in if they're relevant. Make sure your content is up to date. So if you've got any downloads on there, or you've got things which mention something which happened a very long time ago, just revisit your website and make sure everything is 100% up to date. Make sure, obviously, your layouts, your menus and your headers. Make sure that you've got H1 tags for titles. And then further down the page as you go for your subtitles, obviously there'll be heading 2 tags, heading 3 tags, and make sure you've got a nice balance of them. You can obviously check out, and I think they're on my links towards the end. If you're not sure of what your keyword should be, there is a website, there's multiple websites actually, which you can go on and look for your keywords which you should be using. So if you're not 100% sure, you can check out this link, which I'll give you, and have a look at there and find out what your keywords are. So whizzing through, page speed. Obviously, it's really, really important, the user experience, and this is something which is big and going to happen in May this year. It is all about the user experience. So Google wants fast loading websites. If they're slow, they will drop them down in the rankings. So make sure any images in particular, any videos, make sure that they are optimized for your website. It's probably better if they're videos to host them on platforms such as YouTube or Vimeo and have a link on there, so it's not actually on your site to slow things down. And also images, whilst retaining obviously that they're good quality, make sure that they're optimized and not really, really big pictures. You can normally tell if a picture is too large if it's got the initials MB off them, which is megabytes. So if it's too big, make sure you resize it to the right size. It won't lose clarity, but it'll just be optimized for the website and won't slow your website down. So again, later on, I will give you a link where you can actually test the speed of your website as well to see if that's a factor which is perhaps slowing it down. So moving on. It is all about you might have heard of UX design. So it's all about user experience. And in May 2021, Google are doing another major Google algorithm change update, and they will be focusing on this. So everyone wants better organic rankings and maximum visibility, but few realise that optimal user experience is a big part of getting there. Google measures how users act once they click on a site and determines if the user has found what they're looking for. So they'll be searching for a particular term, they'll click on a website, and they'll actually see if they're actually finding the content that they want on that website where they've clicked. A positive user experience has become pivotal in a website success. So make sure you're answering those questions. If you go onto Google and you type in how to get rid of bad smells in my kitchen, for example, you will see further down the page, people also ask, and there'll be a list of questions. So if that's something that you're looking for and you think, right, my business looks at obviously scents and things like that, you will check to see what the questions being asked are and perhaps use them in your blogs or create a page on your website, which doesn't actually have to form part of your menu. It can be a hidden page, but it's something which Google will say, oh, hang on a minute, that question can be answered on this website. And it will obviously rank you higher. So quality SEO incorporates a positive experience, and obviously it will work in your brand's favour in the long term because Google will see you as an expert in that area. In terms of off-page SEO, and again, this can relate to anyone, so it can be anyone which has got a franchise website, or a network marketing website which they don't actually update, and it applies to people with their own website as well. Google looks at links backwards and forwards, so internal links to other pages in your website and also anywhere else where your website is listed. So if you are on Facebook and you are trying to encourage people to buy from you, you'd always put your website URL in there. You might go and do guest blogs for someone else in the same field as you or anything like that. Or you might do some PR. Make sure that it's got your URL in there which relates to what you're trying to answer in the searches. So backlinks are pointing to your website from someone else's site, and Google treats these as votes, which gives you authority and says that you know what you're talking about. So off-page techniques, some of them are listed there. There's forum posting, social bookmarking, press releases, directory submission, all sorts of things. So whatever you're doing, if you're on YouTube, that's still good as well. And in any videos, make sure you try and incorporate your keywords as well, because that will flag up when anyone's searching. Your YouTube link might come up the top of Google as well, and people will be able to click through from there back to your website. So more links means better ranking, but of course don't go over the top, and make sure that anything that you do link to, or you're linking back to your website rather, is quality. Don't just put things out there for the sake of putting things out there. Make sure that it does actually answer questions which are being asked by the searchers. So SEO impacts sales. Customers do their research. It is a sales funnel. It's one of the biggest advantages of the internet from the buying perspective. SEO will undoubtedly impact the buying cycle in a positive way when it is done right. Brands must be visible in the places people need them for a worthy connection to be made. So local SEO enhances that visibility and lets potential customers find the answers, and the business is providing those answers. So just always be wary. It's not what you want to tell people on your website necessarily. You're always trying to answer the questions that people are searching for. So it is a long-term strategy. Going back to that amazing body that you're all working on, it will take time. And obviously, depending on the state of your health, the state of your body, some people wouldn't sort it out within a month. Some people it will take a lot longer. I know I certainly will be taking a lot longer. So SEO can have a notable impact within the first year of action being taken. What you do today might not necessarily show up on Google tomorrow. It might take 2 months. It might take 3 months. But certainly over the course of a year, you will be seeing some substantial gains. I know all the clients that we do SEO for, it took anywhere between 2-3 months to start seeing some things happen, but certainly within a year now we've got clients which are ranking in the top 3 positions of Google for a variety of keywords. So it does take time, and obviously making sure that you're consistent. Don't forget that as the market evolves, it's best to follow the trends and changes closely. But even a site that hasn't had a boatload of intense SEO recommendations implemented will improve from basic SEO to having a decent user experience. So again, going back to content as well, when you've done something on your website, keep adding content to there. Don't just leave it and think, oh, that says everything I want it to say. Constantly think of adding new pages, new content. It is hard work, I'm going to admit that, but you will get into a flow and into a habit. It's all about creating that habit and doing things and think, right, today I need to answer this. Or you might have customers who ask you outside of your website and everything else, and they ask particular questions. You might want to put an FAQ on there. Just answer questions which people are constantly searching for, because that will help you in your SEO strategy. So the more time and the more effort and budget that is committed to SEO, the better and longer a website stands to being a worthy contender in its market. If you can't do the SEO, it's worth outsourcing it. If you do want to do it yourself, then it is possible, but you need to be determined that you are going to keep doing it and keep regularly doing something to improve your SEO strategy. And like I said, don't be disheartened if you say, well, I've done all this, but I'm still not showing for this. Either find out why you are not doing too well, get yourself a website audit and find out anywhere which might be pulling you down, or just give it time, but keep at it, and you will see results. So local SEO means increased engagement, traffic and conversions. With the rising users searching from mobile phones, it's been a really fundamental part for your website success. Lots of people are checking, seeing where things are near them. So working on that and making sure that you've got your location details across your website is really important. So things like having a map on your website, make sure that's on all your landing pages, making sure you perhaps have hidden pages which have got the locations in which you cover as well, because anyone searching for photographer near me, or I don't know, waxing salon near me, they will need to look to find the location, and that help you be visible. So local SEO aims at optimizing your digital properties for a specific vicinity, so people can find you quickly and easily, putting them one step closer to a transaction. Local optimizations focus on specific towns, cities, regions. So again, you would look at the broader thing of, say, Essex, then you'll narrow it down to perhaps, say, a borough, and then actually a town, possibly a village, depending on how far you want to go. We do this by optimizing the brand's website and its content, including local directory listings. So again, this is going back to backlinks. Make sure you've got your directory listings set up correctly, and all of them do actually say the exact same name, business name and address. Touching on Google My Business, which I said I wasn't going to do, make sure that in your Google My Business listing, you do actually have your business name. I know some clients have come to me and said, oh, I had my business name and then I had where I was located, and I also had something else. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was their trade or something, because their name wasn't obvious what they did. Make sure you don't do that, because people can report you to Google, and Google can find it themselves. And if they find that your business name isn't correct in Google My Business, they can actually remove your page if you're a constant offender or you don't change it. Please do make sure that that's correct. Promote engagement on a local level. So we optimize a brand's Google My Business listing and its social media profiles as a start. So again, making sure you're on things like Facebook, Instagram, etc., making sure everything's consistent across everything you do. There should also be a strong emphasis on user reviews on Google, as well as other review sites. So it is really important to get reviews on Google. I know the downside is that unless someone has a Google account, they can't leave a review, which is right pain. But another way around that, I know it's not exactly the same. Get reviews from someone, do something in Canva, put your review on there, add it to your pictures. So, okay, it's not exactly the same as a review. It won't count towards your review count, but at least that's showing people that you are getting those testimonials and people will see them. If you're not on page 1, you're not winning the click. So a recent study showed that the first 3 organic search ranking positions resulted in 40% of all click-throughs, and 30% of all results on page 1 and 2 don't get clicked on at all. So it is really important to make sure that you're in the top 3, but certainly in the top 5, I'd say, making sure you look at maybe those snippets or the featured sections, which I mentioned earlier on. So what does it mean? If you're not on page 1, you need to be, because if you're not on page 1, you're not going to be seen. How fast will I get ranked on Google? Well, this really does all depend on a number of factors. If you're on page 2, for example, already, then it will take you a lot less time than if you're on page 12, for example. You can go on a website called ubersuggest.io, and that will actually give you your current ranking position, tell you where you are. I will put all these website links in the comments later, so don't worry if you've missed writing it down. It also depends on your keyword competitiveness. For example, if you are a florist in Brentwood, then obviously that is more niche than just putting florist in the UK. It also depends on how old your website is. If your website's really new, again, it doesn't have the authority there. Google doesn't really recognize it. So it will take a little bit longer websites to gain trust. It's a good idea when you're blogging to use keywords and again link them through to high authoritative websites. So example, you might link something back through to Wikipedia or something like that, because they're obviously high authority, and that will help in your ranking. It's also about constructed content, not a page full of keywords, but readable, relevant content. Again, don't keyword stuff, it doesn't like that, but just answer questions and make sure each page on your website is focused on one keyword rather than lots of keywords. You can also do things like guest blogging and site blogging. You can obviously do social media posts, but it's really important not to just rely on social media and think, oh, I'm on social media, I don't really need a website. Tomorrow, the next day, we could have an outage on Facebook or another platform or Instagram, and that's it. You haven't got your business for a day. It's not likely to disappear, but it's possible that Facebook will disappear one day. And if you haven't got your own website, you aren't collecting that data, and you'll just lose all those people that have liked your page. They'll just disappear. So do things like newsletters as well. They're really fast and easy to do on MailChimp or MailerLite, and get people to sign up to them. So you're creating that database of customers as well on your website and feeding them information so they get to learn and trust your brand. It should be part of your website strategy, part of your marketing budget if you have one. But most importantly, it's all about giving time to dedicate to SEO. So just like when you wake up in the morning, you think, right, I'm going to have my coffee now, sit down and just do something. Just do anything to do with your SEO. Just find a time when you know you're sitting down, not doing too much. Just do something which takes 5-10 minutes at most, and it will build up slowly over time. You'll think, oh wow, this is actually generating more and more, and I'm ranking higher for these things now. And obviously with Google Analytics, you'll be able to track the changes that you're making and seeing what works and what doesn't work for your industry. So I promise we're nearly finished. SEO is relatively cheap. Sure, it costs money, but all the best things do, right? SEO is relatively cheap, and the payoff will be considerable in terms of your brand's growth. So yes, you might have to invest some time, you might have to possibly invest some money into it, but over time you will actually see a return on your investment, and that is really, really important. It's not like buying a pair of shoes, for example. You'll get somewhere out of it and then you'll have to throw them away because they've run out. SEO is an ongoing thing, and it's always working for you, and you will reap the rewards in the end. It's not a cost, it is a true business investment. And if you're implementing SEO in the correct way, then it will help you long term. And like most things in life, it will only get better if you put more attention into it, if you're doing it yourself, or if you decide to leave it to the experts, then your investment will see a return in investment. So moving on to one of the last screens, changes to SEO in 2021. As I said, Google plans to update its algorithm in May, and the major factor that it's looking at is page experience. So it includes things like mobile friendliness, safe browsing, if it's a secure website, and it also includes metrics into Google's Web Vitals. So it will look at things like page loading speed, which I mentioned earlier, if your website's interactive, and also its visual stability. For website owners, you really need to understand how these all work, see where you're at now, and fix any problems that they might be, and obviously make sure that those changes are made as a priority. Make sure you've got call to actions on your website as well, and also, again, like I said earlier, alt text for all images. You will see, if I haven't got a graph here now, but with all these changes, when you're looking at your Google Analytics, you will see the graph go up and down quite erratically once these changes kick in. It's perfectly normal to have some erratic change to your website. You'll think, oh my God, what's going on here? But if you think about how you start off now, and when things do calm down over the course of, say, 12 months, you will notice that you are still in a much stronger position if you are working on your SEO. So whilst it is going up and down, the end result will be higher overall. So don't forget, you do need to spend time on your SEO. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't say, right, today I'm going to work on SEO, tomorrow I'm going to work on SEO, and then you don't look at it for months on end. Remember the torts and the hair. Remember the ideal perfect body that you want for the summer. Work on it slowly and you will get into a habit of doing it more than if you're trying to sit there and do it all in one go as well. Consistency really is key. So these are the links, but I will be putting them again in the comments section, or you can watch it on replay. If anyone is watching on replay, then please do put hashtag replay, and I will answer any questions that might have flagged up while I was doing this. I can literally only see the presentation on the screen. I can't see anything else. I am relaunching my SEO school, which will now be called Be Spotted SEO Academy. Registration will be from Monday if you are interested in doing this yourself. People that were on the school, any updates will be available to you as promised before. The course will only kick off at certain times during the year, but we will be updating the content in certain places where obviously Google algorithms and changed and everything else to make sure you're fully up to speed and everything works properly. More details will be on my Be Spotted Facebook page from next week, so you can follow me on Be Spotted Facebook, Be Spotted 1 on Instagram, and we're also on LinkedIn. If anyone's got any questions at all, either regarding the content on what I've just discussed today, or you're interested in perhaps learning SEO for yourself and potentially joining up for the academy, or perhaps you just want to outsource it completely yourself, please do contact me.